You mentioned a few moments ago, Jeremy, it is a pretty substantial pack, about, well over 23 cars involved in that front pack, so a little bit less than what we saw merely a few moments ago. However, the racing is still very enticing and exciting and has been action-packed thus far. And hey, we haven't even hit the halfway mark, and we still have to declare a winner in this race, with these drivers fanning out 3 wide, a little bit in the mid-pack in this front pack fight. But as they're coming to start the 37 and go lap, it is still Travis Bieber leading them in that 114 car. He's putting on a pretty good show at the moment, wouldn't you say?
As an Alex Bowman fan, I really enjoy that paint scheme, but I'm not going to say that anymore. Anyways, let's continue on with the 114 out front, like you said, kind of leading the way. The 48 there on the outside third lane, trying to maybe get that third lane to work, as we got 3 cars, nope, just 2 cars in the top lane, but they've kind of slowly just been creeping their way forward. As we're right on here with a Lucas Loynes machine, as he is trying to make his way to the front with the 36, I believe, right behind him, trying to give him assistance to get to the front. This has been great drafting as this pack is pulled away, as the other one kind of just there in the distance, you can see him. But like I said, about just over 20 cars in this front pack, still put on a good show. I'm not sure what their fuel situation is, but we got different strategies out there. As I know there was drivers at some point that did already pit. We'll have to see how that plays out the rest of this race, as we got 2 lanes of 3 wide action.
Yeah, we're getting that 3 wide battling starting to form here at that front pack, and a big turn heading down that back straightaway. That's a huge wreck coming down with 36 laps to go. Are they going to avoid a yellow flag? Yes, they did. That was unbelievable, but no, a big slide on the apron heading through 3 and 4. That is a bumpy ride on the grass. Who is that? Who's probably going to need a chiropractic realignment after that rally action heading through 3 and 4. That was a big moment. It's given the lead to Jesse Nekla, and that was Tyler Justice in the number 33 car that had a huge moment at the midpoint of that lap. I'm going to take a look at his perspective, because I can imagine that was a very uncomfortable, you could say uncomfortable 5 seconds, as he was spearing across the track with a big slide and some bump drafting gone wrong. But that was really just a big one. As we cut to the replay, that was a car getting spun onto the outside line, and that is going to bring the yellow out. A replay of what happened to the 33 car. Some alien activity going on, it must be said, with his car clipping in and out of existence and merging with some NASCAR Next Gen cars. The NASCAR Next Gen car, quite special in the world of NASCAR, very different than the previous generations that came before, but I didn't know they could merge in between each other. That was some very strange stuff going on here on Maconi Entertainment. But the yellow is back out, and in very similar fashion to what happened to the 33, got a moment happening to bring another yellow flag out, and this is going to be it. Thank you very much, DJ, for the replay. And Jeremy, break this one down that's brought the yellow out.
As we take a look at another replay here, we're gonna, like you said, I believe it's going to be another bump draft. Yep, just got to the outside there of the 97. It looks like the 20 machine just got to the outside of 97. 97 was either trying to get back in line or decided not to make that move, and unfortunately it just kind of caught quarter panels there, and that's just what kind of led to a disaster. Unfortunately, at speeds like this, everything happens very fast, and sometimes you just have nowheres to go.
Yeah, it's just being at the wrong place at the wrong place at the wrong time. Not even being at the wrong place at the right time. Just being at the wrong place at the wrong time can be a huge deal breaker for these races. And sadly, some drivers getting caught out in that instance. Many times so far in this race. Is the 3rd yellow that we've had so far this evening. Probably won't be the last, though. 34 laps to go, but what we're seeing drivers do, they're coming down pit lane for their one and only stop in this race. Jeremy, the 114, he was a Pied Piper out there on the racetrack, and he's going to be the Pied Piper leading them down pit lane with 34 to go.
I just spoke about strategies, and here we go. It's playing out in front of our eyes as the 48 machine stayed out. I'm not sure if the 48 had pit earlier on, as the 114 was the first one in. Looks like we got different strategies going on, as the 114 looks like they took more tires than others. Looks like maybe a couple just took fuel only. We got tons of strategies all over the place. We'll have to catch up all this when these drivers get back on the track and figure out where everybody's position is. Looks like the
So
48.
some drivers, yep. Yeah, sorry to step on your toes there, Jeremy. Some drivers going for some
good.
split strategies. The 48 of Lucas Lyons has stayed out there on the racetrack. And actually, in the midst of that pit cycle, Travis Bieber has actually come out in, I believe, third of the drivers to exit pit lane, with JJ Moore in the number 54 car being the one to exit out the first of the drivers to come down pit lane thus far. He started this race in 25th, now running in second behind Lucas Lyons, who stayed out there on the racetrack. A very heavy position gainer, currently have 23 spots so far in this race. Looking up and down the field, there have been some movers and shakers and some drivers cutting their way through the field like a hot knife through butter. Currently coming up to the midway point in this race with 33 laps to go. We're going to take a quick little commercial break, and then we'll be right back here on Maconi Entertainment.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome back here to Maconi Entertainment. We hope you enjoyed listening to some of the commercials that we have and listening about Cruisin Classics yet again. Of course, the premier sponsor here from the GoatLocker Racing Wednesday series. We'd like to thank them for their very generous support. We'll talk about them a little bit more throughout now and the end of this broadcast. But getting back to the racing, Jeremy, we've had pit cycles already begin. Lucas Lyons stayed out there on the racetrack, and he's going to be leading them back to green in that number 48 car. Blake Edel going to join him on that front row. Travis Bieber, who was controlling this race in the 114, he's going to be starting this race in third. Mike George, who grabbed the Jam Pole Award for this race, started at the north end of the field, dropped back a little bit earlier on. He is now on the comeback tour, restarting this race, my apologies, in fourth. The field about to head through that restart zone to get this race back underway, coming to 31 laps to go. Quickly approaching that halfway mark. We've had 3 yellows and a big one so far in this race. Let's see what the second half has in store. It's going to be Lucas Lyons in that 48 car leading them back to green. He was leading that bottom line, but he's moving over to the top with a 114 of Bieber right behind. Travis Bieber was in command of this race and actually exited at third of the drivers that came down pit lane, but thanks for some drivers making an added trip down in the pits for both some penalties and some emergency services, he has now been able to come back out on field in a P2, so pretty nicely played from the driver of the 114 car. Some 3 wide action now heading into turn number 3 and 4. Only one lap, not even one full lap after the restart. And there we go. That's Bieber trying to get that move done on line to take the lead of the race. He's got to have some help on that inside line, though. The 2x2 action going to quickly heat up here at Talladega. Coming to the halfway mark this time by, it's going to be 30 down, 30 to go.
Bieber out front halfway again, took no time. Wasted no time to get back to the front. I was actually surprised that they made it work there on the bottom, as the top lines have been dominant all night long, as they're doing some heavy bump draft on the bottom there, trying to stay up there with the leaders, trying to make that bottom work. As we have a good restart there, everybody's still bunched up quite well. We got some slight 3-wide action towards the middle, towards the back. Those drivers are just trying to find their position in the field. Bumper to bumper action as the 29 of Mike George looks like he's trying to take command of this race once again.
Yeah, George running very strong on that bottom line, but he could see the field wiggling back and forth on the top and the bottom groove. These drivers are probably not very happy in their race cars, and I can't necessarily blame them. The track temperature at this point in the race is 136 degrees. That is scalding hot. These tires are going to be screaming in pain between now and the end of this race, coming up in less than 30 laps time. But at the moment, Travis Bieber leading them on that outside line. Mike George, the driver that grabbed that Jan Pole Award and started this race from the pole position in the number 29 Mustang. He is leading them on that bottom line. These drivers are cooking their tires, and they are cooking it speed-wise. Right now, Mike George headed into 3 and 4, going 196 miles an hour in the pack, leading it. These drivers are going exceedingly fast, and the pressure is starting to ramp up even more. Some drivers going 3 wide, a little bit farther in the back. Those are for the positions just barely inside the top 10 and a little bit outside of it. But right now, the fight is on between George and Bieber. They're trying to get the lead of this race. They're trying to command this race right now, and you can see some familiar cast of characters up and down this field. Primarily the number 67 of Kadorian Davis. He started this race up in the north end of the field. He was running at the front of this race for a decent chunk of it. He's now going to be running that middle line. You can see the field spreading out a little bit. Look at that, the 48 of Lyons trying to take the lead of this race, leaving Bieber out to dry in the middle. So the splitting maneuver heading down the back straightaway. These drivers getting even more aggressive. Oh, the perfect timing for me to say that the drivers were becoming aggressive. That's a huge wreck heading through 3 and 4. The big one striking again with 28 laps to go. Multiple cars involved in that. Some more spinning off the exit of 3 and 4. Beautiful timing, it must be said from my end, to say that these drivers were feeling even more aggressive, and then they stacked them into the wall heading through 3 and 4. Convenient timing from my end, but I'm sure many of the drivers, especially the ones involved in that incident, did not want to see that at all, Jeremy.
Not at all, Ron. And this wreck developed very early on as they were splitting Bieber, and the drivers ended up going 3 wide at the front. That kind of started just bottlenecking everybody up, and that just put everybody in a second. But it was Bieber that was getting split, and then Davis came to his bumper. Everybody was 3 wide coming around the track there, and just not enough room for all these cars. You know, they got fresh tires. They're all really antsy. So we'll have to definitely take a look at that here shortly, as the leader is Mike George up front, the leader.
And I think as one very well-aged comment came from me about these drivers feeling even more aggressive, I may need to issue a sincere and formal apology to Kadorian Davis running in that number 67 car. Right as I was saying that he was putting on a very good show. Started the race at the front, was running at the front, and was still running at the front. By the time that incident came, he was giving a bump draft to the number 114 car heading through 3 and 4, but then with some misaligned bumpers, it all ended in tears, with Kadorian Davis being spun into the side of the number 20 of Tanner Betha, and after that it just created a huge stack up heading through turns number 3 and 4. The likes of Chance Taylor, who very briefly led this race, was involved in that. Kadorian Davis also getting a huge slice of that incident. Lots of drivers stacking into that incident from start to finish. They're now coming down pit lane to try and get their fast repairs. Of course, one fast repair available for these drivers tonight. However, I I have a strong feeling that they're going to use a little bit more than that faster pair. These iRacing mechanics for these drivers possibly going to be downing a whole bunch of Red Bull just to get these race cars fixed and have them be race worthy, to have them rejoin the racetrack with less than halfway to go in this race. 26 laps left, and it's been an interesting night of racing action thus far here from the GoatLocker Racing Wednesday Next Gen Series to kick this season off at Talladega Superspeedway. We had some expectations heading into this race, Jeremy, but how have those expectations managed from your end, from how you're expecting this racing to go to how it's actually gone thus far?
It's Talladega, that is for sure. It's going to have as big incidences, and it's crazy that record there. We were able to kind of watch that one develop, and everybody started, making a lot of moves. Like you said, starting to get a little more aggressive. It's after halfway. They just took a pit stop. They're pretty much restarting their race there, and like you said, some of these drivers haven't taken fast repairs. Some of these drivers are out of fast repairs. Like you said, getting those NASCAR mechanics, iRacing mechanics, to have to do some work because they don't have any more fast repairs or new cars. So we're gonna have to see this field get maybe a little bit split up here, as we're gonna have damaged cars towards the back, and they're gonna have damaged cars in the middle, and pretty much your fast ones towards the front. We'll have to see how it develops. See if anybody that is damaged towards the front or towards the back ends up finding their way towards the front. The draft can help you. So even with damage, you still can make, a good night out of something unfortunate.
And I think as the field is going to be grabbing the green in the not too distant future, we'll use this time on the yellow to take a look at a replay of that drama that took place heading through turns number 3 and 4 not terribly long ago. We're following the number 67 car. That was the driver that I was talking about just a few moments ago. Kadorian Davis was the one that got a huge piece of that incident, and we're going to see him following it off into turn number 3 and 4, giving a bump to the 414 and getting a bump from the 14 right behind. He gets spun into the side of the 20, and then it ricochets both of those cars right in front of the pack that was running in that top line. Unfortunate for all the cars involved, especially the 67, because he had a blisteringly fast race car.
The 67 was dominant and up front early on tonight, making that top work. Davis was really showing the strength of that driver in the car. I believe the 67 does have a fast repair and most likely use it there, obviously. And we'll have to see if we can make a charge back to the front, as we will have, I believe, 24 laps to go when we come to the green, as we go through the line there. And we'll keep an eye on the 67 machine working the way back up to the front. This Mike George is our leader in the 07, I believe, was second. We'll have to see how this all plays out. I believe the 07 of Patrick there has been pretty good in this league. I believe might have been champion of the last season. We'll have to keep an eye on him and see if he can capitalize and win race number 1 tonight.
And while we still have the field pacing under yellow, about to grab the green in just a couple of moments' time, we should probably talk about one of the other sponsors that we have here from the GLR Wednesday Next Gen Series. We've talked about some of them thus far, Cruisin Classics, and how they have accrued a fantastic collection of classic cars for sale in the U.S. with a 56,000 square foot showroom located in Columbus, Ohio. We've talked about Nasty's Restaurant and Bar, which are actually watching this stream tonight here on Maconi Entertainment. We've also talked about Jam Printing and Promotions, who sponsor the Pole Award, but we've also need to mention Lincoln Tech and Lincoln's mission to provide superior education and training to students for on-demand careers in supportive, accessible learning environment, transforming students' lives and adding value to their communities. We'd like to thank Lincoln Tech for being one of the sponsors here of the GLR Next Gen Wednesday Series, and the green flag's down. The drivers are back on their way with 24 laps to go here from this race. The field is shoveled up, but as some drivers have dropped back, some others have stayed at the front, and it's that driver that picked up the Jam Racing Pole Award, Mike George, in that number 29 Mustang. He is leading them right now, getting a big bump from the number 51 right behind him. You can see the 07 leading it off on that outside line. These drivers feeling incredibly racy at this point in the race, but as George starts to lose a little bit of time on that bottom line, it's Patrick Draubik in that 07 car leading them over. All you've got Jacob Ellingson, who got involved in the first yellow flag of this race. He's put on a fantastic recovery drive, now running at the north end of the field. You've got Mike George, who restarted this race from the pole just one lap ago. He's now dropping back a teeny tiny bit, losing out some time to Travis Bieber, who was very close to getting collected in that latest yellow flag big one heading through 3 and 4. These drivers getting all kinds of squirrely, trying to bump draft and gain any sort of race time that they can. These drivers are sailing it off into these corners. The track is still blisteringly hot at 136 degrees, but as the track temperature literally is starting to ramp up, I think the cockpit temperature for these drivers is starting to ramp up even more. We're getting to the end of the race, Jeremy. These drivers getting a bit more racy, with 23 coming to 22 laps to go in just a couple of moments time. I think the pressure is probably about 100 times more intense than it was at the very start.
Having about 6 cautions, I believe, it's going to make these drivers kind of impatient. It's going to make them a little bit angry because they really want to race, and unfortunately cautions can lead to cautions, and we got a split there, 3 wide down the little short chute here after the tri-oval. Looks like the 21 machine got shuffled out there, but these drivers are ready to roll, and man, that was close with that lap traffic. As these drivers continue, we got 22 laps to go, 21 and a half. Man, these bumps are getting pretty insane as these drivers are trying to stay towards the front because they can see the end is near.
Considering the recent history with a brand new Ford Mustang dark horse in the NASCAR Cup Series, Mike George nearly just got sent into low Earth orbit with a bad bump coming out of 3 and 4. The yellow has come out in this race as that was a big slide coming out of 3 and 4. That driver that had a big sideways moment was actually the driver of the number 88 car, Jamie Perkins, had a big slide off of the corner. And I was looking through, he was actually quite slow and actually avoided the incident there, so I'm not sure exactly what brought the yellow out in this race. It must be said, I was looking through iRacing trying to figure out the movers and shakers in this race, and also trying to figure out who that lapped car was on the apron that nearly Kevin LePage the field coming out of the pits. That, I believe, may have been Mark Holyfield, I believe, in the 76. I'll check to make sure, looking at my iRacing replay. Yeah, it was a matter of a couple of inches separating him from rejoining the racetrack. But the yellow back out in this race, coming to 20 to go in just a couple of moments time, Jeremy. The pressure ramping up even more, and as much as these drivers probably had a lot on their plate as is, they now have another restart to deal with, which is just going to throw a huge wrench in the works.
Another restart, another opportunity for chaos. I guess now we got 7 cautions. These drivers are going to be really ready to roll, and they really want to race. I know they do, and that was, I'm not sure what that incident was. That was kind of freak, it felt like. And these drivers, I'm hoping this is a quick caution. We'll have to see how it plays out. And not any takers for pit road, as we're good on fuel. We got 20 laps to go at the line this time. I believe there is 19 cars still running. I might be wrong. Over 20. It looks like there's 32 on the lead lap still. So we'll have to see how this plays out.
Which honestly, considering the drama that we've had so far in this race, Jeremy, to have 32 cars still on the lead lap is, at least in my book, quite impressive. These drivers have gotten involved in some incidents here and there. However, thanks to the faster pairs, they are still not out of it, and we got 20 laps to go in regulation. However, we have 3 green-white checkered attempts that are going to be allotted to these drivers, so if need be, we will probably add a decent chunk of laps at the end of this scheduled 60-lap race here, being broadcasted tonight only on Maconi Entertainment. It's been a pretty fun night of racing action thus far, and while we are still under the yellow, waiting for the field to grab the green flag in the not too distant future, and some waiver rounds to get dealt with as well, I think we should just go through all of the sponsors, because we've touched on all of them throughout this broadcast. However, without fantastic sponsors, this broadcast and this series would simply not be possible. Cruisin Classics has been buying and selling cars for many, many years. The majority were your average daily drivers at first, but their passion has always always been in muscle cars and hot rods. So in 1996, Cruisin Classics built a 56,000 square foot showroom located in Columbus, Ohio that they still operate out of to this day. All of their vehicles are hand-picked and selected to ensure that they fit their inventory. The facility is now arguably one of the best stocked collections for sale in the U.S., housing hundreds of unique automobiles all under one roof. They invite you all to their facility in Columbus, Ohio. There's something for everybody when you come and take a visit. We would like to thank Cruisin Classics for being the primary sponsor of the Wednesday night Next Gen series and being with GLR from the very, very beginning. And we also want to talk about Natsy's Restaurant and Bar. On March 21st of 2012, Natsy's opened its doors in Hilliard, Ohio. From the get-go, they aim to be the embodiment of energy and passion, the same embodiment that their sons Nathan and John poured into their dreams. Nathan's commitment to hospitality ensured that every single guest received exceptional food and service. We would like to thank Natsy's Restaurant and Bar for being one of the co-sponsors of the GoatLocker Next Gen series, and their support goes much further than that, as they have hosted numerous fundraisers in their establishment with the goal of raising funds to donate a sim rig to deserving veterans or first responders. We would like to thank Natsy's for being a generous supporter of the GLR Next Gen series and also tuning into this broadcast here on Maconi Entertainment tonight. And we mentioned it before the latest restart, and we'll probably mention them a bit more in depth here. That being Lincoln Tech. Lincoln's mission is to provide superior education and training to their students for in-demand careers in a supportive, accessible learning environment, transforming students' lives and adding value to their communities as well. They're one of the largest automotive technology schools in the nation with 23 campuses nationwide. They are the title sponsor of the fall series and also a very large partner of the GoatLocker Racing Leagues. And also, we've talked about this in many times so far, mainly in reference to our pole sitter George, who grabbed the Jam Pole Award. Jam Printing and Promotions, based out of Plainfield, Indiana, are local, are veteran certified, and when they do well, they can do good for the community as well. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children as well. They have been with GoatLocker Racing since the very beginning. They provide GLR with all the promotional items, including shirts, hats, decals, dog tags, you name it. Jam is probably the one making them. Jam is GLR's go-to promotional company. We would like to thank Jam Printing and Promotions for being a sponsor of GoatLocker Racing and their sponsor of the Jam Pole Award. And we also like to thank all of you for tuning into this broadcast tonight here on Maconi Entertainment. And with less than 20 laps to go at this point, these drivers are getting even more racy. They're feeling itchy. They're feeling a little bit hot under their collars. We've talked about the track temperatures many times so far in this race. Thank you very much, Jeremy, for bringing it up at the very top of the show, because we've had to talk about it a lot tonight, and we're probably going to be talking about it a lot between now and the end of this race. Regulation is ending in 19, come to 18 laps to go. The green flag is out, and the drivers are back underway, and it's this car, the 07, driven by Patrick Drabick, leading them to green with Ellingson right behind. Ellingson putting on a wonderful recovery drive after getting involved in an incident not terribly long ago. That number 27 now giving the 07 a bump, and look at the 114 running on that bottom line. He is the Pied Piper, has been through a decent chunk of this race. He is still on the comeback tour. These drivers feeling really racy at this point in the race. You can see the pack a little bit spread out compared to what we've had so far in this race, but it is still a hornet's nest heading through 3 and 4 with 18 to go.
18 laps to go. Up front, defending champion Patrick Drabick there. Oh, we got a little trouble in the back. Everybody stays off the wall. Still clean and green so far. We got one going through the grass.
Oh, you can
still
see
going straight. Man, that was crazy. Everybody's still going. I can't believe it. All of a sudden, everybody blinked there for a minute. I checked in on the number 67. He is up to now 20th, I believe.
And there's a multi-car schmozzle heading through the tri-oval with some drivers taking the rally line here at Talladega Superspeedway. I feel like running on the high banks may be a little bit quicker, but hey, if these drivers want to throw in a little bit of added challenge for themselves, they can try running around this racetrack on the grass and the grass alone. I think we're going to take a look at the replay of that near disaster coming off of 3 and 4. You can see some 3-wide action a little bit farther in the mid-pack. We're going to see some drivers converge onto each other with some bad bump drafting and some drivers getting mega sideways. They, I think, may have picked up some pit lane speeding penalties, and you can see that rally action that led to a little bit of contact, which sent even more cars through the grass heading through the tri-oval, very close to an absolute disaster at the north end of this field. But speaking of the north end of the field, it has changed quite a lot ever since we take a look at that replay not terribly long ago. Travis Bieber is now leading in that 114 car. He's actually extended a nice gap between himself and Jason Tyler right behind him, P2. You got Mike George running third on that bottom line, Jesse Nekula in fourth, and we've also got Patrick Drabick, who's restarted this race not terribly long ago. He was running in the lead. He is now running in fifth, but you can see that front pack starting to deteriorate a teeny tiny bit. That bottom line looking to be the preferential one, coming to 15 laps to go.
15 laps to go, and look who's coming back to the party there. The green car of the 67, Davis. Oh, trouble right in front of him. Oh, Davis involved in it. Oh, no.
Oh, and it's a big bit of drama. It's going to bring the caution flag back out in this race. You can see a whole lot of damage on that race car, and whoa, boy doggy, oh, even more wrecking heading out of turn number 4. I thought we were about to see one of the closest bits of avoiding action that I've ever seen, with a 73 very slow gets another piece of an incident. We're going to take a look at a replay. Lots of drama going on here at Talladega. It's so unexpected when it comes to super speedway racing, but another big one taking out some fast race cars. This one happening through 1 and 2.
The 67 of Davis was really making some great moves, slicing and dicing, trying to make it to the front as quick as it could. We saw the speed in this driver early on, was trying to make his way back to the front. I believe he goes into the next turn. He checks up, but the cars behind him do not. Just kind of gets hit from behind and goes into the wall, I believe, pretty much head on there. As we take a look at the replay, as the rest of the field gets caught up with the pace car. The 67, like I said, started way in the back, was really making some great moves. I was really keeping an eye on him. I thought, as you can see right there, a moment in front of him, he's going to get out of the gas right there, a little contact. But the car behind him, unfortunately, it just happened so fast. Just nowhere to go, and everybody else was just kind of along for the ride, head on there into the wall. Unfortunate ending there to the 67's night.
Yeah, it's some tough stuff for the 67. They had a very fast race car, but sadly it has all come to naught. And you mentioned there, Jeremy, that he was a big mover and shaker all throughout this race. We have had some drivers just cut their way through the field like a hot knife through butter. Our current leader, Travis Bieber, has gained 19 spots from where he started in this race. Started down in 20th, now running in the lead. However, I think as good of a feat that is, it isn't nearly as impressive of a feat as the number 40 of Jason Taylor has managed to put on. He started this race in 40th. He's now running in second, up 38 positions from where he started in this race. That is absolutely insane. Mightily impressive stuff from the driver, the number 40 Dark Horse Mustang. Mike George running in third. He's down 2 spots, was our pole sitter. He's been running at the north end of the field all throughout this race. He is probably going to be a driver that we keep our eyes on between now and the checkered flag. And just looking through the rest of the top 10, a lot of drivers making up a whole lot of spots. JJ Moore up 21 spots from where he started in this race, running in fourth. Peyton Hubbard, who I don't think we've talked about at all throughout this broadcast, in the number 7 Camry. He's up 18 spots right now, running in P5. Mike Kostek up 3 spots, fittingly, in the number 3 car. Then right behind, we've got Zach Angle, who's angled himself up quite nicely. 14 spots gained so far in this race. Lucas Lyons, who's had a very hard-fought and up-and-down evening. He's up 2 spots, running in in 8th. Timothy Stubblefield up 28 spots running in P9. Patrick Drabick in the 07 running at the top 10, up 6 spots from where he started in this race. And just looking through, one of the other heavy position gainers currently running in 17th is Cody Hemingway. 22 spots gained in this race thus far. The driver, the number 10 Mustang, has put on a very good and convincing show. Just a race of movers and shakers from start to finish, Jeremy. But my God, that is just insane from Jason Tyler. 38 positions gained. Granted, he's had some incidents involving other drivers, mind you, that's helped him cut through the field. But 38 positions gained. Well done to the driver of the number 40 car.
I'm absolutely insane. It's one thing to go from the back to the front, but to do it at Talladega, where you can have so much stuff happen in between there, to be up this many positions, coming to 12 to go, will probably be 11 laps to go when the green flag waves. If I'm Jason Taylor right now, I'm pretty happy with how my night's gone, and hopefully he can finish it up strong, and we'll see how it plays out. Like you said, the pole sitter there, Mike George, down 2 positions. Can Mike George get back to the front and really show that he belongs? I believe the 07 that was up towards the front is, like you said, there in 10th. He's our defending champion. He showed quite a bit of speed there. Can he make it back up towards the front from 10th? You know, it's been pretty tricky here. We've been watching drivers trying to make it 3 wide. It's worked out, and then it hasn't worked out. So we'll have to see how the rest of the race plays out. As the pace car lights are off, the field is double filing it up. Looks like we're going to be coming back to green, and we'll be having 11 laps to go.
Yeah, not a whole lot of time left to go in this race, Jeremy. We saw the pressure that the drivers were under with less than halfway left to go in this race, let alone with about 11 laps left. Just looking up and down the field, there are some drivers that we really need to keep our eyes on. Bieber, he's been running at the north end of the field all throughout this race. He is definitely going to be one of the forces to be reckoned with. You got to talk about Jason Taylor as well, up 38 spots. Will he make it 39 and snag the victory in this race? We'll just have to wait and see. Will Mike George be able to grab the win? Will we see the likes of JJ Moore grab the victory? He very briefly took the lead of the race during the pit cycle. He came out with the lead. However, I believe he had to serve a pit lane speeding penalty, of course, here in the NASCAR Next Gen cars. Despite how sophisticated they may be with the much more sophisticated suspension compared to the previous Generation 6, still don't have pit lane speed limiters, so these drivers doing it the old-fashioned way. So JJ Moore possibly picking up a pit lane speeding penalty, which is what relegated him down the running order for, at this point, it was probably about 3 or 4 restarts ago, but he's put on a very good recovery drive to make his way back up into 4th. We got to keep in mind, Jeremy, that we got 3 green-white checkered attempts at these drivers' disposal. So at this point in time, I honestly cannot predict who is going to win it. Of course, we have our drivers that we're going to be keeping our eyes on, but really, plate racing, regardless of where it is, whether it be at Daytona, Talladega, or Atlanta for that matter, it's always going to throw you a curveball. And hey, we could see a driver that we haven't really talked about at all throughout this broadcast sneak away with the W for the opening race of this GLR Wednesday night Next Gen Series of field approaching that restart zone. It's going to be 11 laps to go when they cross the line in just a couple of moments time, and it's going to be the 114 of Travis Bieber leading them back to green. That driver and spent a decent chunk of this race up at the front. Will he be able to close it off with about 11 laps to go? And you can see, speaking of closing it off, the top, that'll be 7, the top 7 breaking away. A decent chunk, it must be said. They're pulling away from the rest of the cars right behind. However, that gap is going to decrease tenfold as they're 3 wide going down the back straightaway. Look at Jason Taylor taking the lead of the race, pulling off a defensive maneuver to block the run that the bottom line had. They're very briefly 3 wide going down that back straightaway. They've now ironed out back into 2 wide. Only 2 wide throughout a vast majority of the top 10, top 15, and top 20. Nothing too much to scoff at here at Talladega. Just the awesome racing action that we always come to expect here at Maconi Entertainment. He very briefly took the lead. However, he didn't have the momentum on that bottom line. It's now Michael Kostek in the number 3 car has taken the lead of the race now with 10 to go, Jeremy.
10 laps to go, and one of our dominant cars of Bieber has been shuffled to the back, got stuck on the bottom behind Taylor, who, like you said, was up 38 positions, I believe. We'll have to see if they can make his way back to the front as we got racing all over the place. 3 wide action. This is really intense. You can definitely tell there's only a few laps left to go. These drivers want to be in it to win it.
They are certainly in it to win it. They are going to be dicing for every single opportunity that they have. These drivers not going to leave any quarters out there on the racetrack as they have a... Oh boy, nearly a collision heading through 3 wide, nearly 4 wide, a little bit farther in the back through the tri-oval. That is some bold stuff. I don't think the drivers will try and risk that between now and the checkered flag. Hey, they may, you never know. 3 wide heading through turns number 1 and 2. These drivers are playing with fire. The track conditions are hot, but these drivers are even hotter under their collars. They are pushing it even more now with 9 laps to go. These drivers are going to try and scrap and claw for every single position they can and go for some outrageous moves. I'm not sure who that was that nearly hip checked themselves into the outside safer barrier heading down the back straightaway. Single filing out a little bit farther at the front. There you can see dropping back quite badly through the field. That is going to be a car getting chewed up and swallowed up. That in the middle right there, creating a whole bunch of drama now heading into the tri-oval. That is James Kaufman in the 25, and that is not a sight that he wants to see at all. You can see him. Oh my God, they're wrecking, banging and banging and roughing each other up, heading down that start-finish straightaway into turns number 1 and 2. I think we avoided a yellow for now. Never mind, the yellow is back out with 8 laps to go, and I don't believe this will send us into green-white checker territory yet. However, with another late race restart, the drivers at the north end of the field have even more of a challenge on their hands.
The 114 of Bieber was involved, just kept getting shuffled farther and farther back. Gonna have to get going. Most likely has a fast repair. Gonna get that taken care of. But another one of our dominant cars. We've got more new names towards the front. Like you said, Michael Kosak. As we take a look at our replay of this incident, a lot of drivers just making bold moves, trying to get towards the front, just trying to do whatever they can. They're just slicing and dicing everybody. Taylor getting split. We got slower cars jumping in front of the pack, getting people shuffled out. We're 4 wide here through the tri-oval. Just unfortunately not going to work out. As these drivers just, as you can see, looks like Taylor comes down and just squeezes the 114 of Bieber down into the car below him, who I'm not sure what number that was. And then just kind of bottles everybody else behind him because it's just hard to slow down when things happen so quick.
And you can see that bumper flying through the air as a result of all that major contact. And look at that just coming in, pile driving the side of that number 10 car on the apron heading into turn number 1 and 2. Big contact involving a lot of those cars. And I think by now that bumper probably ended up in the grandstands, and for all we know could already be trying to get sold on eBay, even though the wreck just happened a couple of minutes ago. These drivers have brought out a couple yellows in this race. I will say, for plate racing and the drama that can bring, it hasn't been too attrition-packed, it must be said. We have had our fair share of incidents, don't get me wrong, Jeremy, but for how chaotic Talladega races can usually be, this has been pretty smooth, at least from my perspective.
Yep, absolutely. And I believe we're going to take a quick break here as we got just a few laps to go. We'll be right back here on Maconi Entertainment here shortly.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competitive Zone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the stream. This, of course, is the broadcast of the GoatLocker Racing Cruisin Classics Wednesday Next Gen Series being broadcasted tonight on Maconi Entertainment. We're now under 5 laps to go here, folks. And as it stands currently, it is Michael Kostek in the number 3 car leading at that Chevy. We haven't really seen him at the north end of the field thus far in this race. However, it's not about leading throughout the first 59 laps. It's all about leading to take that checkered flag. That's what makes the difference. When that pay window opens, you want to be there to try and take advantage of it. Field is pretty shuffled up. We've seen some incidents take out some drivers thus far in this race. But as we were expecting, it is a Chevy dominated race, I will say. Not really using the word dominant. I think dominant being used for lack of a better term. Lots of Chevys at the north end of the field. Currently it's Chevy, Toyota, Chevy, Ford Mustang, and Ford Mustang rounding out the top 10. It's going to be a Lucas Lyons and Mike Kostek front row. 2 Chevys going to be leading us back to green here in just a couple of moments time. The racing at this point has been going on for over an hour, so these drivers are starting to feel the burn and feel the pressure. The track conditions have not cooled off here at the iRacing version of Talladega Superspeedway. Still 136 degrees Fahrenheit. That's just absolutely scorching hot. But as these drivers approach what may be one of the final restarts of the night, it's going to be an all Chevy front row leading us back to green, coming to 4 laps to go here from the Wednesday night Next Gen Series. It's Kostek in the lead, Lyons on that front row as well. These drivers are going to feel really, really racy. They see an opportunity to win the first race of the season under the grand spectacle at Talladega Superspeedway, and they're going to try and get that opportunity through wide a little bit farther in the back with the 07 car in the midst of that. That's a lot of contact heading through turn number 1 and 2, and the field are going to be stacking up, heading onto that back straightaway. Some drivers slamming into each other, slamming into the wall, and the yellow is going to be back out yet again. And with just 4 laps left to go here, Jeremy, that is definitely going to send us into overtime territory.
Definitely going to send us into overtime territory. We'll have to see how this shakes up the lineup. There was about 28 cars left there on the lead lap. We'll have to take a look at this replay. With just under 5 laps to go, drivers were really trying to make some moves, trying to improve their positions. It was more towards the back. I'm not sure if it was a 3 wide gone bad, but just happened really quick. There it is right there. Looks like the middle car got just pulled down because the car in the 3rd lane just didn't give them enough room, and just everybody just seems to continue to pile in there. As the 85 machine was involved, James Goshen there.
Just a whole lot of drivers getting a piece of that drama. You could see a car a little bit farther in the front of shot with a hole completely screwed up left front wheel that was pretty much pointing a completely different direction than the rest of the wheels on that race car. We're actually going to ride on board with the number 85 car of James Goshen throughout this incident. He's now running down in 28th as a result of this drama, which is unfortunately taken multiple cars out of this race, and you could see that drama. He just had nowhere to go with a 92 of Stubblefield spinning across his nose. He got a small piece of it, it must be said, but then it was the contact there. I believe that was Hubbard right behind in the 7 car that just sent him around. Gonna ride on board with a few more moments. Time to see these cars clattering into each other, sliding, going down that back straightaway. Gonna be some more contact involving the 92, bang into the side, and you can see from the lap ticker, we are definitely going into overtime territory. We've talked about this throughout the broadcast so far, and we'll mention it again. 3 overtime opportunities at these drivers' disposals. It is a green-white checkered. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the green-white checkered, but for those who don't know, we're going to be grabbing the green with 2 laps to go. If the yellow comes out on that lap, the field will re-rack and try it yet again. This is green-white checkered attempt number 1. If they're green on that first lap back to racing action on that green-white checkered attempt, then once they take that white flag, the next flag will end the race, whether it be a caution flag or whether it be a checkered. Usually in real life, it will be a yellow ending it if there is an incident on that final lap of the race, but here in iRacing, they actually do quite well to avoid bringing out yellows for incidents. Usually in real life, they want to send out some safety crews, understandably so, to check in on the drivers after a pretty hard collision that may come in towards the end of this race. But right now in iRacing, these drivers are bracing for the first of 3 possible green-white checkered attempts. We've seen some hard-fought racing from start to finish, Jeremy. Some drivers who we thought were favorites coming in to the second half of this race fall out and run into some difficulties. This may be a little bit of a loaded question, but who do you think we need to keep our eyes on? Who are the 2 drivers that you'll be keeping your eyes on come time for this first green-white checkered attempt?
I wish I could put a name to it, but I feel like that whoever 2 drivers get hooked up on this restart, get stuck nose to bumper there, they're just going to pull away, or they're going to just dip and dive through the field, and you're going to need a lot of forward momentum to make this happen. The third lane seems to be working. Before that caution came out, there was momentum in that third lane, and I think they were starting to make it work. I think it helps with the hot tires. When you're up in that third lane, it just seems to roll a lot better, less wheel. And we've got a lot of drivers still out here going for the win. Looks like we got 22 drivers with an opportunity to win this race still after over 60 laps.
Yeah, we are now over the allotted time in this race, over the 60 lap mark. It's been a hard-fought race thus far, and we're still waiting for the conclusion of it, which may be coming up in the not-too-distant future. The lights are out on the pace car, and this could very well be the final pace lap. Of course, before this first green-white checkered attempt, this very well may be the final lap behind the pace car in this race, and leading them back to green is going to be Lucas Lyons on that outside line in the number 48. That's going to be Michael Kostek, another Chevy driver in the 3 car on that bottom lane. These 2 cars have had hard-fought afternoons. Lucas Lyons, he's gone up and down the field quite a lot throughout this race, up 9 spots from where he started in this race. Kostek up 7. Chance Taylor in the 14 car right behind these 2. He's had a hard-fought evening of racing action as well. The driver of the number 14 Chevrolet started the race at the north end of the field, up only 2 spots from where he started in this race. However, he dropped back in the mid-pack and got involved in an incident not terribly long ago, so he's put on a very good recovery drive to make his way up to 3rd. And how about JJ Moore? He's currently running in 4th. 21 spots from where he started in this race. That number 54 Toyota is the highest ranked Toyota, just barely in front of Jake Collins in the number 81 Camry, running 5th in this race, coming to the final restart, what could be the final restart from this race, the first of 3 green-white checkered attempts that the drivers have at their disposal. We've got some clean-looking race cars, some fast-looking race cars, and some good-looking race cars at the north end of all these drivers feeling really, really racy. They want to grab the first checkered flag to kick this season off. The real question is, are they going to do it? That pace car is going to go on the apron and give the field back into the hands of Kostek and Lucas Lyons. The 48 and 3 cars going to be leading us back to green in just a couple of moments time. The field approaching that restart zone for what may be the final time in this race, coming to the first green-white checkered attempt. And it's a pretty even kill start between those two. The 48 getting a much better launch, it must be said, than Kostek in the 3. Lucas Lyons, the driver of that number 48 car, he's going to swap down to that inside line, try and cover off any sort of challenge, get some bump drafting possibly from the 3 and the 54 right behind, but he's got to try and cover off the top as the 3 cuts down to the inside, trying to get a move done. This is the money lap. If they can make it back to the white flag, the race will be official no matter what, but the real question is, will they make it to see that white flag on this first green-white checkered attempt? They're going down the back straightaway for what could be the second to last time, sending it off into 3 and 4. This is a section where we've seen a whole lot of big ones. That's going to be another one with a big bit of contact heading through the corner. Some drivers spinning and actually keeping it going in a straight line. Fantastic save from whoever that was. Big wall contact a little bit farther in the back. Those drivers are going to be hoping at the north end of the field that incident right behind them doesn't bring the yellow out. It hasn't bring the yellow out. White flag in the air. One more lap to go here from the GoatLocker Racing Series here from the opening race at Talladega Super Speedway. We've got some side-by-side action here with the number 48 and the 3. You can see the 54 in the midst of that as well. Some drivers shuffling around, trying to grab the victory in this opening race of the season, fitting at nearly 3 wide, heading down the back straightaway for the final time. But it's Kostek in that number 3 Chevrolet. He is going to be leading them, heading off into 3 and 4, and big contact with some hip checks a little bit farther in the back. They might not bring the yellow out. Big contact with the car getting spun into the outside wall. Will that bring a yellow out, or are they going to race back to the white flag? It is going to be some side-by-side action here with Kostek coming to the line. Side-by-side, 3 wide now. Look at the 48 of Lyons coming through, and he is going to sweep by the both of them to take the checkered flag. Lucas Lyons in the number 48 wins it here at Talladega in a dramatic green-white checkered attempt. Those drivers were banging, roughing each other up, and knocking that wall down when everything was said and done. But in the end, Lucas Lyons went up and down the field about 5 times from start to finish, but he takes that checkered flag in first. That checkered flag moment to end a hard-fought night of racing action. Lucas, well done, timing that run beautifully, coming through the tri-oval for the final time to take the checkered flag. Those 2 drivers that were leading and coming out at 3 and 4 were just so preoccupied with each other that they couldn't even think about Lyons behind, coming in when everything was said and done and taking the win. Awesome stuff from Lucas Lyons.
Absolutely incredible finish as Lyons burns it down here. The first and second were close, but I mean the battle there for 3rd, 5th, and 6th were just, I think they were 3 wide coming across the line. It was really good racing there coming to the checker, and Lucas Lyons was just right there at the right time.
He was in the right place at the right time, and with everything was said and done from the racing action tonight, he was the one taking the checkered flag from the opening race of the season. And as he burns that 48 car, burns those tires down to the canvas, we're going to take a quick little commercial break, and then after that, we're going to wrap up tonight's broadcast, talk about the action we're going to be expecting from the next round of the season. We're going to have a good close to this broadcast, and maybe even have chat with some of the drivers who were involved in that fantastic finish. We'll be right back after this commercial break here only on Maconi Entertainment.
Racing isn't easy, but but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to Maconi Entertainment. We just had a heart-pumping finish to this race here at Talladega, and we're going to touch on the results before we move on to some driver interviews. Before we bring things to a close here on Maconi Entertainment, a hard-fought night of racing action. I'll tell you what, it's 10 p.m. East Coast time for me right now. With how much adrenaline is pulsing through my veins after that heart-pumping finish, I probably won't be falling asleep until about 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Lucas Lyons, he's going to be pumping through with adrenaline as well, because in the end he ended up taking the checker flag. The driver, the number 48, wins it here from the Cruisin Classics Next Gen GoatLocker Racing Series. Try saying that 5 times fast. He wins it in the number 48 car. Michael Kostek, the driver from PA, he's going to be finishing right behind in P2. And we've got Chance Taylor running at your podium in 3rd. Jake D. Collins going to be finishing this race in 4th, the highest placed Toyota in the number 81 car. The driver from New Jersey ending up less than a 10th behind of our leader, Lucas Lyons. That's Daniel D. Cunningham in the number 91 car, rounding at your top 5. Tyler Justice going to be finishing this race in 6th. JJ Moore in 7th, put on a very good recovery drive. He may be one of our hard chargers. We'll touch on that in just a couple of moments' time. Cody Hemingway going to be starting this race, finishing this race, my apologies, in P8. The highest finishing of the Ford Mustangs. James Kaufman going to end up in 9th. Zach Engel going to round out your top 10. And looking at the next page, we're going to have George Jewell in 11th, Joe Hobbs in 12th, Jacob Lenke in 13th, Mickey Isaac in 14th, Peyton Hubbard in 15th, got involved in that last yellow, but he still ends up in 15th. Well done from the driver of the number 7 car. Chris Sawyer is going to be finishing this race in 16th, Timothy Stubblefield going to be finishing in 17th, Jesse Nakula in 18th, Patrick Dreback in 19th. Then it's going to be Blake Edel rounding out your top 20.
In 21st, Jason Taylor from 40th was really put on a good run there. 22nd, Tanner Betha. 23rd was Timothy Wilmes, Mike George started on the pole, unfortunately comes home 24th. Jamie Barkas, 25th. 26th is going to be Travis Bieber. He was also a front runner there for a little bit. 27th will be Johnny Cofield. Justin Klein will be 28th. Chris Smith, 29th. Top 30 there for James Goshen. Mark Hollyfield was in 31st. Logan Strogan was in 32nd. Charles Stevens was 33rd. 34th was Jacob Ellingson. 35th was Kendron Davis. 36th, Jeremiah Holt. 37th, Bobby Germain. 38th, Sam Milken, 39th. Jamie Perkins, 40th. Doug Ellingson, and rounding out the field in 41st, Rusty Rafferty.
And now, with those results taken care of, we have some podiums to discuss. I think the first podium that we'll discuss is the hard chargers. Cody Hemingway, who ended up in 8th, was actually the hard charger from this race. And looking through, Joe Hobbs down in 12th was actually the second highest charger of 24 spots from where he started in this race. Cody Hemingway up 31 spots. That's just absolutely ridiculous. And then Timothy Stubblefield ended up the third place hard charger in this race, down in P17 when everything was said and done. Still a hard-fought race from all of those drivers. And speaking of the other podium, we'll have a chat with some of the drivers that rounded at the top 3 in this field. And now Chance, as I drag myself out of the commentary booth, very clumsy from me. Chance, thank you for joining us in the commentary booth. A hard-fought evening of racing action from your end. Talk us through it and the awesome racing that we just saw here at Talladega.
Yeah, that was a wild finish, wasn't it?
Oh, it absolutely was. I think I did irreparable damage to my vocal cords just calling that race. That wasn't from your end out there on the racetrack, because our perspective in the commentary booth, it was insane just looking at it. How was it from your perspective in the cockpit?
Man, it was definitely insane. And again, I want to say, apologize to Tanner Bethea. Did not mean to get in him like that. I was getting a good push from behind and had to run, and I apologize for taking him out. He had a good race. But, man, it was wild last lap. My teammate, Tyler Justice, gave me an awesome push to get right in the middle between everybody and bring home third, so I'm happy with it.
Well, still a pretty good result from your perspective after everything was said and done. It was a real tough race to try and follow if you're one of these drivers. Some yellows kind of breaking up the action with not an extended long green flag stint throughout this race from start to finish. Was it tricky just trying to keep your head in the right frame of mind throughout this race?
It was, especially after I think I spun midway on one of those cautions there and finally worked my way back up on the outside line with couple guys pushing me the whole way, and making it back on the outside, that was the key right there. I mean, we were going 207, I think I read on the speedometer, so.
Man, y'all were absolutely cooking it. 207 miles an hour heading off into the corners. That is absolutely insane. And sadly for you drivers, the speed itch will not really be scratched for the next race at Phoenix. How do you think that race is going to be in 1 week's time?
It's going to be a challenge for me. This is my first year in the next-gen cars, so we'll just see how it goes, and I'll try to keep it clean.
Alrighty, well, there you go. Chance Taylor, thank you for joining us in the commentary booth, and thank you for giving us your insight into how things shook out for you in this race and how things are going to look out at Phoenix in 1 week's time. And before we let you go and celebrate your P3 result from the opening race of the season, is there anyone you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Yeah, I want to give thanks to Veterans for Life Foundation, GLR, Lincoln Tech, Hidden Wit Brewery, Cruisin Classics, Nasty's Restaurant and Bar, Veterans for Life Foundation, InVets, Jam Printing and Promotions, Maconi Setup Shop, V-Speed, Natural 360, and HTP, new team we started here this year, so we're starting the year off good.
Well, starting the year off good indeed. Congratulations on the P3 result, and excited to see you back out on the racetrack at Phoenix in 1 week's time. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you.
And that was Chance Taylor, who rounds out your podium in third. And now, Jeremy, would you like to have a chat with our P2 finisher of Michael Kostek?
Let's do it. We got Michael Kostek in here, the number 3 finishing in second. Michael, congratulations on your second place finish. Walk us through your night, and man, what a close finish there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was back and forth as expected. Just got crazy runs in these cars. High line was pretty much where you wanted to be, so low line, there's a lot of checkups going into the corners, but you know, it's typical plate racing. Bunch up, checkups, and the occasional wrecks, so it wasn't too bad.
It was definitely, you could definitely see it from the booth when one person would pull out and kind of let somebody drag back. It would definitely develop some checkups. What was it like from your seat when you really had to make some moves out there? Were you involved in any of those wrecks early on?
Well, the first one, I cut down to the apron. I hit the blue cone on coming out of 2 and got damaged 25 seconds, so that was odd. But yeah, I wasn't really in any of the wrecks, but definitely a couple close calls. It was just the low line was frustrating. I usually like cruising down there because it kind of gives you a way to escape trouble. But yeah, the top line, it was fun to make moves out there. You could really side draft, lean on the car on the inside, and kind of drag them back there. But yeah, I mean, survived, so that's always good.
You definitely survived, came home second. Congratulations. Who do you got to thank for getting you here tonight?
Thank Lincoln Tech, Hidden Wit Brewery, Cruisin Classics, Nasty's Restaurant and Bar, Veterans for Life Foundation, Invets, Jam Printing and Promotion, Maconi Setup Shop, V-Speed, and you guys for doing the broadcast, my teammates at Bandits, and everything, GoatLocker for all the good they do for veterans with the sim rigs and everything else. So, yeah.
Awesome. Good deal. Thank you for your time, Michael, and we'll see you next week at Phoenix.
All right, thanks, man.
Have a great night. Michael Kosak, your second place finisher. All right, Ryan, we got one more to go. Let's grab him up here.
Alrighty, Lucas Lyons, our race winner from tonight's action at Talladega. And Lucas, that looked like an absolutely ridiculous run to the checkered flag. Talk us through it from your perspective there, man. That looked insane.
I was scared. I didn't even think I was going to end up winning the race. I got shuffled out, fell all the way back to 10th, and I was just like, I'm not lifting until I see God or a checkered flag. So,
my man.
I just wasn't going to lift. If I get involved in a wreck, it's the first race of the season. I was going to do my best to avoid it without lifting, and saw the two cars in front of me wreck, and I was like, I kind of have a good chance. And I had a huge run come out turn 4, and I was like, my chances are even better. So I went to the top because I pushed one of my teammates, Jonathan Cofield, in a different league to a win here running the top in this exact paint scheme, actually. And I got second in that race, and I ended up winning this one. So I guess the top's where you want to be.
Hey, there you go, man. And you brought up a very good point of just licking the stamp and sending it. And here with the plate races in these NASCAR Next Gen cars, that's really the main strategy of choice for a lot of these drivers. Could you talk us through the intricacies of trying to keep that car at the front throughout the entirety of that race?
Well, I might not be the guy you want to talk about that because I felt like I was in every single wreck this race. It's probably, if you don't look at the results, this is probably my least performing plate race because I just kept getting in wrecks, it felt like. But luckily, it wasn't too bad. I fixed all the damage, and you just got to see where the runs are. Pray to Tom Cruise and stuff like that, and hopefully Dale Earnhardt Sr. will be on your side and tell you where to go. Just praise Dale, and he'll get you there.
There you go, Lucas. Some wise words from Lucas Lyons, our race winner from tonight. And now the next race is going to be on pretty much an entirely different racetrack, that being Phoenix Raceway or whatever they call it nowadays. How do you think that race is going to be in 1 week's time?
I have no idea. If it's this big of a field, it could get a little hairy sometimes with a bunch of people trying to cut the dog leg off the start and stuff like that. But hopefully it's not too bad, and since it's not a plate track, people will not full send into the corners and stuff like that. But I'm really hoping it's a good race. This is actually my first full season in the next gen cars. I ran part-time in GoatLocker before. I had a few decent finishes. Ran ARC over there, won at Watkins Glen, but we'll see how it goes.
We certainly will. Still got a whole season of racing action between now and the end of the season this upcoming December. And what a way to kick this season off, Lucas. Thank you for joining us in the commentary booth. Is there anyone you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
First off, I got a phone call from my dad as soon as I won the race. So I want to thank everyone at my dad's basement bar, McGillicuddy's. Thank you all for watching. I want to thank my girlfriend for tuning in. I know it can be a little weird just watching me turn left. So, yeah, I really appreciate and all my friends and family who watch. I want to thank Veterans for Life Foundation, Cruisin Classics, and all the sponsors over here, all the broadcasters. You all always put on a great show, V-Speed, and then you all as well. Top tier, Honor Home Loan, Southeast Tutoring, GoatLocker Racing, Cold Foot Asphalt Refinishing, SM Racing Products. If you use code BANDITS, you can save a little bit of money on checkout. The light bar actually helped me a lot on the research and all that, and all my teammates at Bandits who at Super Speedways, I feel like we work so well together. I was honestly hoping me and Mike could work a little bit better on the start when me and him were both the front row both times, but sometimes the cards just don't play out how you want.
Well, in the world makes a dream work, and for your case tonight, no truer statement could be said. Lucas, congratulations on the victory to kick this season off. Hope you're going to be celebrating it in fine fashion. Congratulations on the victory, and excited to see you back out on the racetrack at Phoenix in 1 week's time. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you.
And that right there was our winner, Lucas Lyons, put on a very hard-fought race. He only ended up leading about 8 laps when everything was said and done, but he just put on a very good show to claw back from adversity and try and get that checkered flag, which he ended up doing. And now, as we mentioned during those interviews, the next race of the season is going to be in only 1 week's time here on Maconi Entertainment, that being week 2 at Phoenix. Jeremy, how do you think that race is going to be on pretty much a completely different racetrack?
Man, these drivers put on one heck of a show, and they'll definitely do it again next week. I'm really excited to be up here in the broadcast booth and follow along for these races, and these are some great drivers, and I'm excited for next week.
Oh, next week is going to be a hoot. If it's anything like the racing that we just had here this evening, it is going to be a whole lot of fun. And a reminder, you can tune into that broadcast here on Maconi Entertainment in just 1 week's time. Gives you more reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss any of the action that is coming up here from the GoatLocker Racing, Cruisin Classics, GoatLocker Racing. My apologies, I called them GoatLocker during the final lap of the race. It's GoatLocker Racing, the action from the GoatLocker Racing Cruisin Classics series. So action-packed that I completely blanked on the name of the series there, so just shows you the great racing action that we have here. But then the great racing action that we have every single day here on Maconi Entertainment, you better not tune in, or you better not miss out on all the other action that we have here, because it is fun to watch every single day here on Maconi Entertainment. Tonight's race was no different. I want to thank all of you viewers for tuning in to tonight's racing action, and we hope you can stay tuned to all of our social media pages for the next race of the season. And of course, we need to talk about some of the sponsors that we have. Of course, without them, this broadcast would not be possible. And so, to wrap things up for myself, Ron Mullins, Jeremy Briggs joining me in the commentary booth, and DJ Lyon doing a wonderful job working all the cameras in the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for watching. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you all again at Phoenix in 1 week's time. Take care, everybody.